Hey everybody, it's me, Steve Schnee, the CD Junkie. On this episode of CD Junkie, I'm going to be talking about something I should have talked about a long time ago. I'm talking about the Amplifier Heads Rectifier. I'm going to rectify the situation that I haven't talked about this album, and I'm going to talk about it because it is absolutely stellar. Now, a lot of you have probably seen me talk about the Amplifier Heads or the Stompers. Both bands were led by Sal Baglio, an American treasure. I swear to God. I got into this guy back with the Stompers. So we're talking about the early to mid 80s. And by that time, the Stompers had already been around for at least 4 or 5 years because they started in the late 70s. Just a great band influenced by 50s rock and roll, 60s rock and roll. And oh boy, did they knock out some great songs. In fact, some of their songs continually made mixtapes throughout the 80s whenever I'd make them to impress the girls. But alas, I didn't get the girl, but I kept buying Stompers records. And of course, I bought Sal when he went solo and recorded under the name Rocky Rollins. And then he made a couple solo albums under the name Salvatore Baglio. And you know, he's had other projects like the Peppermint Kicks, another great band. But Amplifier Heads. Now, the first album, which is called Louda, came out in 2019, only 4 years ago. And boy, that thing just came and it just hit you full throttle in the face with some great loud rock and roll with some cracking tunes. Now, the difference between the Stompers and the Amplifier Heads, both bands which he wrote the songs for and he sang lead vocals for, the Stompers were more rooted in 50s and 60s rock. And so that's what people expected of them. You know, they expected to hear some, along the lines of Bruce Springsteen type things, influenced by all these great things like soul and rock and rhythm and blues and pop and just everything just coming up. But it sounded very much influenced by that era. The Amplifier Heads is influenced by that era and everything that's come since. I mean, Louda was just power pop on amphetamines. It was just loud and boisterous. And then the next album he put out was called Music for Abandoned Amusement Parks, which I think came out in 2020 or so. And that was sort of a very inward sounding album, a very personal album, very downbeat, nothing like Louda, but still the songs were fantastic. And then in 2021, he put out an album called Saturnalia, which was sort of a mixture of those two albums, but then shot into outer space. And then Rectifier is another stellar collection of rock and roll. Sal knows rock and roll from the inside out. He's just not playing rock and roll. He's living it. He's breathing it. This is something that flows through his veins, and you can tell with everything he releases, he understands the nuances of what makes a song soar and what makes a song touch your heart and what makes a song, make you bang your head. And he uses that knowledge to create these new little nuggets. And Rectifier has a bunch of them. There are songs here. I think probably the longest song is 3.5 minutes, maybe a little bit more than that. But most everything is like 2 minutes, even a couple under 2 minutes. And he just jumps in, gets the point, and jumps out to the point where you're wishing, oh man, if only he had one more chorus in there. So what that does is it inspires you, the listener, to say, oh, I dig that chorus. I'm going to listen to that song again. Then you go back and you listen to it again. And it latches onto you, even harder to the point where you're just in love with everything this guy does. And this is, I believe, the 4th Amplifier Heads album. It is called Rectifier, and it is just wonderful. Yes, it's short, in terms of length, but, go back to, the 50s and 60s and even, the new wave punk rock days, those albums were short. It wasn't until the CD came around that everybody started saying, well, maybe I'll make the song 3 or 4 minutes since we can fit all this music onto an album. But no, Sal just knows what to do. He cuts out all the fat and he just gives you what you need. And if you want more, like I said, you just go back and listen to it again. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play you a little medley of songs from this album. And in the description box below, I am going to put a link where you can purchase this and other Amplifier Heads albums. In fact, I believe that the Amplifier Heads website has a special deal where you can get all 4 albums for a low price. on CD, of course. I want you to hear a medley with little snippets of songs from this album, and that will inspire you to just go straight to the Amplifier Heads website and press buy. But anyway, sit back, relax, give this medley a listen, and I will see you on the other side.
Well, here he comes all dressed in black, walking to a beat way in the back. And when he stops, you tip your hat, Jack, to the man who invented rock and
Anyway, that's it. Amplifier Heads Rectifier, an amazing, amazing album. Everybody needs to own something by the Amplifier Heads. Why not own all of it? Go check out the Amplifier Heads website. Buy all 4 albums. I thought I saw them at a low, low price, all of them together. Also pick up the Peppermint Kicks, because that kicks butt. Am I allowed to say that on YouTube? Anyway, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, to ring that bell for future notifications. And until the next time, remember me. I'm Steve Schnee, the CD Junkie.